Hey, what's going on, guys? It's me, Train Matt, and the game's performance, as I started this up, was kind of a telltale sign, so I have the strange feeling that this won't be a very long episode. But on the other hand, I will just use this episode as a moment in time to talk about, well, the zombie train. And not the story itself, just the scenario, the events around the story. And by that I actually mean just life after the end of the world, essentially. I can't remember what I said I was going to work on, but I guess I'm going to work on this, even though I have inspiration to do the other bit, because I believe this is what I said. So I'm going to do this. We should flatten this out first, actually. Alright, so I was saying, something about life after the end of the world that until I really got down into writing some of the more, well, I can't really say intimate because that has the wrong connotation, but the very inner workings of the zombie train itself and just how things run and me getting nitpicky, it led me to something that I never really thought of before, and I feel like is very tough for a lot of us to wrap our heads around in that kind of scenario, which is just the scarcity of things. The scarcity of, there won't be any running water aside from rivers. The food you get, you're going to have to either farm yourself or gather from the environment. All that stuff. Your clothes you're going to have to make. After a point in time, you're going to run out of stores to steal, or stores to go into. And of course, your own clothes will probably last you a couple of years, but depends on what you do in them. Of course, if you're a outdoorsy woodsman kind of person, where that's all you do all day and you're running around in the woods, you're going to ruin your clothes pretty quick. If you spend your life aboard a train, on the other hand, you may have your bad set that you use when you're getting inside and underneath the locomotive, but other than that, you should be alright. Even better if you're just like the lookout, where you don't even do anything. No offense to Chris, who's a great lookout, and a great sniper. But he's, all he does is sit in the cupola all day. Which is, fine by me, he does his job. But I'm just saying he doesn't have to bear with, for example, the characters Oswald and Carolyn. No really allusions to what they are right now, but or to their role, their purpose. But I will say this, they are both experienced woodsmen. They're a very outdoorsy couple, and they like spending time, or they liked, before the war, they liked spending time outside and in the woods and in areas like that. And now that the war has come, they are used to living off the land. So they have, leather clothes that presumably they made themselves. It kind of reminds me of a flight suit, I believe I wrote in. But they were living off the land for 2 years, which means they were hunting food, they were gathering, berries and things to eat. And they know what to do because that's what they've done for all their lives, essentially. I mean, they didn't live that way before, but they did that for fun, so they have the experience. It's like Survivor Man, Les Stroud. The only Survivor Man that, frankly, I have ever cared about. Man vs. Wild can suck on a, thorny bush for all I care. It's not as real. That's what gets me about those things. It's not the same kind of thing, because you have your camera crew with you. That's different. It changes things. You don't, hunt and gather for your camera crew, or else they'd be stars of the show as well, because they have to survive with you. But back to what I was saying, this is, I'm going to take some stuff, I'm going to pull some stuff from the story, but I'm not going to, spoil anything. Because this isn't spoilers, it's just basically statistics about the past and stuff, and I'm not trying to hide my past in the story, I'm not trying to hide any bit of frankly, I'd rather tell you most of it now so that I don't have to cover it in the story and it doesn't just take up valuable room on the paper. But, at the beginning of the zombie train, when we were all along the East Coast, and we were always along the East Coast, there are plenty of rivers, and of course there's always the ocean to go into. If you need to bathe, if you're feeling like you need to clean yourself up, there's always the ocean. And I did write that, and yeah. And then I was thinking, well, that brings about some problems. Are you gonna jump in? Not everyone. I'm not sure if everyone A packed a bathing suit or B is that kind of well, yeah, packed a bathing suit. Well, that was the least of my worries, but my thought was, if you're gonna go cleaning yourself up, yeah, you can do that to a point. I don't know. I wrote it in like, yeah, it happened. I know you can figure out exactly what was going on there, and I believe in the story the thought passes through my head while I'm in the showers, which I'll talk about in a second. Not the actual being in the showers, but the showers themselves. The thought goes through my head that it wasn't so private, going in the ocean to get clean, but nobody, well, the worst of it was a mild embarrassment that passed after the first few times. And I'm deriving that just from my own way I feel about things, where I'm not too caring over that. But, that's my own preference, and I know people have very differing opinions on that. But my mentality was, it's gonna happen, and eventually people are just gonna want to get clean and just get over it. Because there comes a point where it's like, oh yeah, this has happened before. We all know how this plays out. And it's just one of those things that, whether you care about that initially or not, you're, roped into it. And then it's like, if you want to get, yourself clean, it's just something you have to do. And then you just decide, okay, and you make that sacrifice, and then you don't think about it too hard. And it's sort of like it reminds me of in Halo, in the military academy, or well, even in just not in the military academy, aboard starships. I was just thinking of Forward Unto Dawn. That's what came to mind. But in Forward Unto Dawn, or well, no, in the Halo universe, the stasis chambers, basically, if you wear anything, it gives you what they call freezer burn, which is just as bad as it sounds. It's just a terrible rash that occurs when something's touching your skin while you're surrounded by the cryogenic liquid. And henceforth, because of that, everyone goes in the cryotubes naked. I know, I feel weird as a writer and as a commentator, just, whatever. And then I was reading on the Halo wiki about Forward Unto Dawn, and they were saying that, yes, we know that these scenes where they're going in and out of the cryotubes are incorrect because they're wearing their uniforms, but they didn't want to get an X rating or an R rating for that, so that was that. And I was like, yeah, I understand. Fortunately, in books, you don't have to worry too much about that. Is there a rating system for books? I don't even know. Because 50 Shades of Grey would be like the worst of the worst. It is porn in book form. Not that I would know. I don't have any first-hand experience, but I've heard things. Any out there who have read 50 Shades of Grey, feel free to leave a review and summary, maybe not a summary, in the comments. But back to Did I put 2 of them? No, I only put 1. Back to the whole scarcity of things. That's what I was really thinking. It was like, oh wow, how will you get clean, basically? How do you handle this? And my friend who's writing the companion story, not really the companion story, but the other train, Beta Rail. Friend Weibold. I'm sure I've mentioned that before. If I have not, there you go. I have a friend named Weibold who's writing a story called Beta Rail. He's in Colorado the whole time. He's in the Midwest the whole time. And he uses the freshwater streams because they're all over the place, but they're also ice cold. So, well, he's griping about them being cold. Hey, it's not salt water, it's fresh water. It's fresh water at least. Aside from that, though, I don't really mind the salt water. Something else, though, is that you can't wash your clothes in the salt water. We would have had to find a freshwater stream to do that, or just use our domestic water supply in order to wash our clothes, which is something else that. Okay, well, let me segue onto this right now because it's now time to. I mentioned it earlier, and I got to talk about it. So on the zombie train, the bunk room, the essentially what's called the sleeper car, even though it wasn't a sleeper car to begin with, and it's a little bit more than that anyways. It's basically a army bunk room railroad car. I'm sure some of those have existed in the past, or do exist. But an army bunk room railroad car kind of thing, where we have cots along the walls stacked too high. You have your storage behind them. Let's save this. And that's that. But the last 20 feet of the car is cut off from the rest of the car, and it's dedicated to the showers. And the showers also serve as a place to wash clothes, because you go in there with your dirty clothes, and you wash them right there, and then you hang them out to dry, like outside of the train. Of course, when you're in Montana, northern Montana, that isn't much of an option, so we haven't been doing much clothes washing while we cross the pass. That's beside the point. Let's fix this up. But because the showers were not a priority when we started the zombie train, and people, grew to not care at all about the bathing arrangements. They weren't designed as separate stalls. They're more like a locker room shower, where it's just a room and a bunch of shower heads. Because, frankly, that's just the most efficient way to do things. We didn't have a lot of space, and we also want to conserve water, so that's just how you do it. You have one shower head for, essentially, multiple people. And I'm sure a lot of you out there are like, ugh, yeah. But I'm sure also there are quite a number of you that get where I'm coming from, basically. If you've ever, been on a sports team or whatever. I know a lot of people in this day and age are still kind of uptight about that. And frankly, I don't blame you because, it's just unusual to think about and awkward to do. Especially if you're my age, or, around my age, where you're going through puberty. I was going to make a voice drop thing, but I didn't feel like it. My throat's kind of sore. Hey guys, you want to go play some baseball? Yeah, that. But yeah, you get what I'm saying. I'm sure at least some of you, those of you who have not been through this yet and still are at that age where you don't care at all, just hang on to that, because, things are going to get awkward. things get awkward and it kind of sucks. But aside from that, click, click. Oh yeah, the actual mechanism itself. So yeah, you go in there, you wash clothes, and then you know, hang them out to dry, and the train drives along, and you dry your clothes that way. The actual showering thing is set up to be more like... Oh, I cannot answer a call right now. Well, it's piping, of course, and we have a cold water storage tank on the roof, close to the roof of the car, not on the roof, but close to the roof of the car, because the water pressure is provided mostly by gravity. We have, and that's your cold water storage right there. Then your warm water is coming from steam pipes to heat the cars, interlaced with the cold water feed. You're not getting direct steam, but you're getting heat transfer from the steam pipes to warm up your thing. And of course, your hot water knob controls the amount of steam going through the interlaced pipes. It's kind of a simple system, but you know, when you're basically on the run, and you know, that's one of the least of your concerns. You're concerned about getting fed, concerned about getting food, getting water. Whoa! Oh jeez, what have I done? Though I will say it's not to say we haven't charged people in miscellaneous towns for a hot shower. Because yeah, people like their hot showers. They don't even care what exactly they're. I'm not sure where I was going with that, but they stop caring when you say hot shower, and it's like, oh, warm water. That's just some of the mechanical thing. That's one of the more interesting things I got to write in, because it's like, oh, this is the system we had and that we've been working with, and it's to the outside observer, even to me as the writer, it's like, wow, that's pretty awkward. I'm not sure if I'd want that. In the scene where it is shown, I'm not with anyone, so it's just me, and I'm thinking, because I overslept a little bit. Even though it's still dark outside during the scene. Overslept a little bit. Most everyone's gone. But, I mean, I'm figuring once you get into that situation where it's like, this is your life, this is how you shower, this is how you eat, this is what you eat, it kind of just becomes mundane, where it's like, yeah, this is my daily routine, and you don't think much about it. And then, of course, you get someone new on board, and they're like, what? What's going on? What? But, fortunately, I believe I've mentioned there is a military camp. So the people in the military camp kind of are subjected to the same thing, because by this phase in the invasion, people have stopped caring about basically any sort of lines in the military. You go, and it's much less of an organized kind of thing. You have your central base hub, but then you have your line of scattered, assorted camps, which, you know, are run by their individual commanders and are generally cut off from the rest of the world. I don't know where I was going with that. Oh, right, the military people, they have the same kind of setup. They have, like, communal stuff. So, it doesn't matter. It's not a big deal to them at all. I mean, it becomes it services a little bit when you consider the intermingling going on, but people, again, get over that quick, because once you've gotten over it once, it's pretty easy to get over again. Carolyn and Oswald, they're not the kind of people who would care to begin with, because they're just kind of very, very liberal and very open, and just generally, what's the word? Easygoing. They don't get upset about much. Now, the only person, after 2 years on the zombie train, just about the only person left is someone that I actually haven't formally introduced yet, I don't think. It's, her name is Evelyn J. Caspiana, and she's featured in the story Hell in Suburbia, which is going to be released as soon as I get through Essex. And right now I'm writing a chapter called Summit. So hopefully I'll get over the Summit this chapter. Or else I'll have to rename the chapter something else. But, Glacier Park is still as far as I've gotten in the writing, and then I got distracted by some other things that were going on in the story. There's a character by the name of Matilda who is, injured, which is actually, frankly, it's okay for me to say that, because you don't know her, well, there are a lot of people I don't name, to be honest. Especially, unless I consider them important from the get-go, I don't name them, or unless another character shouts their name out. But they're actually, well, just about everyone ends up injured, so I'm not gonna... And everyone ends up injured at some point in the story. You're running along from gigantic hordes of zombies, and yeah, people get hurt. Although everything I say is still subject to change. But I think I've got to shut this down now. I'm surprised the game survived. Save. But I have to get going, unfortunately. I believe the episode's only around 20 minutes. But I talked about some very awkward things, so you guys can go clean out your ears with something if you want to unremember all of that, or you can, speculate and give me ideas on how you think things after the end of the world would work. Because despite having World War Z as a guide, it's still not the most helpful in terms of exactly how people survived in the interim. There's one story which talks about how hard it was, but there's not much else. That's funny. But yeah, frankly, you know what you could do? You could tell me your zombie plans in the description. That'd be nice to hear, because I always like to get input on these things. I remember last week I talked about suggestions, and even just input at all, just how you would act in certain situations, how you think things would be, how you would do certain things, just so that I can get a different perspective other than my own. And light bulbs. Also, this is an awkward looking mountain. I'm gonna have to either rough this up or do something with it, because that's very strange looking. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you next week. Trainman out.